Welcome to a special episode of the Boardroom Chronicles podcast titled Transforming Boardrooms, Unleashing Communication and Diversity. Today, we're joined by the incredibly talented Shannon Bex Basada, whose eclectic career has spanned from being a multi-platinum recording artist with Danity Kane to becoming a trailblazer in the business and digital content world as a co-founder and board member of VOOKS, a groundbreaking animated storybook streaming platform. Shannon's journey is a testament to the power of creative evolution and strategic thinking. With her extensive experience in marketing, branding, and digital media, she has mastered the art of connecting with audiences and driving growth across various industries. Beyond her business acumen, Shannon is a champion for diversity and effective communication within corporate boards, leveraging her unique insights to foster environments where innovation and collaboration thrive. Shannon, welcome to the show. In this episode, Shannon will share her strategies for enhancing boardroom dynamics, the importance of embracing diversity for corporate success, and how her artistic background has influenced her approach to business strategy and executive leadership. So, Shannon, before we get started in talking about boardrooms, diversity, communication, tell us a little bit about Shannon and your personal journey.
Yeah, well, thank you for that great intro. I definitely agree. My background is not normal. It's been very diverse in how I've gained my business and executive knowledge. I very much am a sponge, so all the unique environments I've been in, I'm very quick to observe and listen and try to understand the complexities, not just from the business side, but legal side, and how they all fit together. I'm very much a systems thinker, so I need to understand all of the parts to get the full picture. So, like you said, I started in the music industry. I came right into music as a professional in my early 20s. So missed the college years and went right into my professional career. And through that journey, I've picked up a lot of insight, a lot of dynamic experiences that now as a board member and a co-founder and a consultant, I can speak to so many situations that kind of blows my mind sometimes of how parallel they really are. And I'm thankful I took the chance to, embark on something that most might felt like they weren't qualified to embark on, but call it ignorance or just pure curiosity. But I just keep pushing down the path.
That's best way to success is just go for it and learn as you go. Just like you said, to be a sponge. Always willing to learn.
Yeah, that's the key point. You have to always be willing to learn and not it's challenging because I noticed not just in music, but even in my professional career, you have a desire to have knowledge, you have a desire to share wisdom in the room. And there's a time for that, but there's certainly a time to observe and listen and grow.
Absolutely. And speaking of growth and companies needing good board members, I think in today's boardrooms, the power of communication cannot be overstated. It's the cornerstone of strategic decision making, conflict resolution, and also fostering the culture where every voice is heard and valued. So to kind of kick things off, could you share your thoughts on why clear and persuasive communication is so critical in today's boardrooms?
Absolutely. Without clear communication, without inclusion of everyone's voice, you start to silo innovative thinking, and sometimes the loudest voices in the rooms tend to drive the narrative, and the quiet ones, because everyone communicates different, that might not speak up or feel like they have a space to confidently say or challenge. Sometimes if a boardroom doesn't set a precedence for healthy debate. It could minimize constructive growth for the company they're serving. I think, we're in such a unique time where not just board diversity and boards are changing, but companies are changing. We have more entrepreneurs and startups than ever before, and there's so much at our fingertips that the board's environments and the style of how they've always communicated has to change, has to adjust, has to evolve to support these companies. And it's not personal agenda in the boardroom. It can't be ego in the boardroom. It really is all of you serving a purpose for the greater good of the company that you're representing.
Absolutely. And perhaps from your vast experience, could you offer our listeners some strategies on how to enhance boardroom interactions and create an environment conducive to open dialogue?
Yeah, I think self-reflection is huge. And a lot of these words sound maybe fluffy or not tactical, but you really have to be able to step back and take a look at how your board is functioning. And that's for every member, and actively see who is participating, who is not, what are the pain points that we just can't seem to solve for, and what is an out-of-the-box way we can begin to solve for these pain points or the company's pain points. Self-reflection is the number one thing that is going to serve you. And once you take the time to actually, sorry.
That's okay.
My cattle dog is
Hi, puppy.
He has to be in the room with me.
He has to be heard.
He has to be heard. He's not being a very good board member right now. Just because he's loud doesn't mean I have to stop him. But he's certainly the boss. So my apologies. But yeah, so I'll take a step back. Ultimately, self-reflection. You have to. Hey, bud. Can we not? Okay, sorry.
No worries.
So above all, self-reflection and making sure that you care to have your board have the inclusion and all the voices heard. So, and that could just be something as simple as a tool like Grain, where you can record, your Zoom calls with each other, and you can actually see a percentage bar of who's participating more than the other by how much they were speaking on the Grain. So there's like little tools out there that can help you start to take a step back and be like, oh, wow, Bob is like talking 75% of the time, and we need Gloria to chime in a little more. So there are some strategic tools that are non-biased out there that can help you observe, or even you could even take a board health poll with your team to see where everyone's feeling heard or not heard, or the different issues that people are feeling, because not everyone's going to speak out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's funny because I had a talk with, I didn't have him on my show, but I had a talk with Mr. John Pepper, former chairman for P&G and Disney. And I asked him for one thing in the most effective board member. And he said, the one that doesn't speak much, but when they do, everyone listens. So it's not the 75% person typically.
No, usually that person wants to hear themselves speak.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I absolutely agree. I tend to be the one that just is observant, listening to all the angles. I really try to find the win-win solutions and or have a healthy challenge if I don't agree with the ideas being talked about. But I absolutely am the one to wait, usually to be asked, what are your thoughts? But the more I'm driving forward in my journey, in my career, I'm like building that, I hate, confidence, I guess, to just go ahead and speak out. And certainly the board atmosphere that you create will allow those quiet thinkers and observers the space to participate. So that's very important to be observant of the different personalities.
Absolutely. Considering your unique background and the transition from entertainment into the boardroom, so from stage to the boardroom, what specific communication strategies have you found most effective in bridging diverse perspectives and ensuring strategic decisions are made with clarity and consciousness.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one. Like boards,
That was a mouthful.
usually startups. That is a mouthful. I think startups have upper hand in the fact that they can cultivate the board and the foundation of the board and set the right precedent out the gate. And, success there is making sure everyone is fully informed, that there's no imbalance of information being shared. It's kind of easy to silo side conversations or communicate more with someone who reminds you of yourself, or you happen to already run in the same circle, and that's why maybe you're on the board together. So actively being conscious of, hey, I've talked to these 3 board members the last month. I haven't even touched base with this board member. Like, active consciousness is what it comes down to, and self-awareness is what it comes down to. A little more challenging for the boards that are kind of set in their ways, and in corporations and companies that have been around for 10 to 20 years. And they're just going through the motions of the status quo. So they don't have as fresh of eyes on what is happening. So above all, it's a conscious effort. And then putting things in place, like making sure everyone has the agenda ahead of time of what is going to be covered, so that everyone feels fully informed and aware of the topics and can be prepared. Not everyone is able to think, on the spot, or offer a comprehensive solution, especially if they haven't been in some of the siloed conversations. They are going to be very out of step with everyone and be intimidated potentially, and then that's going to break down trust. And then before you know it, they're reclusive and they're not participating. So making sure everyone has the right information, everyone has it ahead of time. And even on your board meetings, the idea of a neutral facilitator to make sure people are getting called on or asked for insight, even rotating who is leading the board meeting, can also offer a chance for people to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest key is be an effective board member, and don't just be there just because you got appointed to be a board member because, quote unquote, you knew somebody, like you said, running in the same circles. There's got to be a reason that they're there. So I agree.
Yeah, and I think as you're choosing your board, whether you're a founder or as an investor, whatever the situation, making sure your candidate pipeline isn't narrow, and you're really trying to, maybe it's a committee that can help, with the diversity and gathering the right people. And obviously we don't want diversity just for diversity's sake. There's a purpose behind it, and there's a reason behind it.
Yes.
There's a value there. But then, I know we'll probably get into this later, but it's not just about popping down the diversity on your board. It's also now including the diverse perspectives and communicating. Yes. So it's multi-tiered.
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into that. But you're right. It's not just about checking the boxes and having somebody that has diversity, but there are so many options out there. And as you know, what boardsi does, I mean, we have a database full of executives, and diversity is definitely not an issue, and they're qualified and they're out there. So yeah, don't just check a box just to check a box, but actually find a diverse board member that will be an effective asset to your board. I mean, that's the key. That's what we've been focused on for over 7 years. So
hearing other use cases,
totally get it.
Stories of boards and how they've implemented.
Is there a specific example where you can share an effective communication that significantly impacted the board's decision-making process?
Yeah, I mean, from my own personal experience, my first time as a board member coming from the entertainment industry into a room of all men, amazing executives that have had successful careers, incredibly potentially intimidating atmosphere. But because my board didn't make it an intimidating atmosphere, and it was inclusive, and they cared about my voice and my opinion, and they knew my background and my experience was adding value, I could speak to things. So one in particular, I have a I have an interest in contracts and legal negotiations, and don't ask me why, but I like I said, I like knowing all the puzzle pieces. And so because of my experience, I handled all the licensing with our clients because we did streaming rights for children's storybooks. And in particular, when we would start talking about like a new feature set or a new initiative that got everybody very excited, and the buzz goes and the creative goes, and which is totally my wheelhouse. But I was able to step in and speak up and put a buffer and guide rails on our conversations with a legal lens. Like, hey, that's great, but let's think about XYZ for our customers' experience with this new initiative based off of like legal implications. Let's also make sure we're thinking about our current contracts and deals and licensing deals with our business partners so that we're not overstepping anything. So by being heard and being able to do that, we could still run with the creative vision, but we now had the proper guide rails in place to build that vision on the right stage.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's good to hear that obviously you didn't just come in there without having the knowledge to back up your voice, but like you said, you were strong in that. And it's good to hear that they were open-minded and actually inclusive. So that's for the best for everybody.
Yeah.
So in an article that I wrote about communication, and this was probably last year, I broke it down. Communication, we can spend probably 6 hours talking about it, but I really broke it down into 6 days or 6 day. Well, it ended up being 6 weeks because I released the article one per week, but I broke it down into focusing on each part, like effective boardroom communication begins by establishing a strong foundation, building trust, respect, and shared purpose, and then common obstacles, and it goes on. And I'll leave a link to the article or articles at the end of this for the specific strategies that I wrote about. But to question or to send a question your way, how can boards implement these daily strategies to improve their communication dynamics? And I think you had a look at the article, I hope.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's going to be a willingness to want to make these steps and strategies happen. And I think, there's some tactical things, like I mentioned before, making sure you're taking note of the participation of the board members. I think for the senior leadership that are on boards, and if you have more of a newcomer or a younger executive, the mentorship that you can do. And, when I walked in as a new board member, nobody sat me down and said, these are the rules of a board member, and this is like what to expect. I mean, I knew like the common stuff, but nothing of the dynamics of how I could integrate myself. And again, because I feel a good board experience, it didn't matter. But, I think there's a important role for seasoned board members to kind of mentor, bring along, maybe even reach out like, hey, I noticed you're not really chiming in on this idea or subject, like, run some things by me. Like, it really is communication. It really is the human factor. I think sometimes with businesses, we have our KPIs, our OKRs, our deliverables, or it's so sterile. But the human element of participation and trust is going to go such a long way. And ideally, you'll create a board atmosphere where you can have debate, because healthy debate is going to lead to innovation.
Yes.
And to level up your board to where you're not uncomfortable having tough conversations, I think is masterful. And I still don't know how to get there, but it's possible. It's a team to me. It's a basketball team, it's a football team. It's not a family, it's a team, and everyone has a role and a strength. And so I think, if you can really drop the egos and drive finding the value of the voices that sit beside you, that's the first step.
That's awesome. And in your experience from entertainment industry to now obviously being on a board, over time, have you found any specific tools or maybe just something that you do that is helping you maintain the discipline?
Yeah. It's funny because, again, you wouldn't think there'd be as many parallels to, the industry as in as the artist to a boardroom, but really the common factor is dynamic personalities, dynamic skill sets. And for me as an observer, the most success comes and has come when everyone is empowered by their unique skill set. And success before this executive career was about listening. It was not about being heard. It was about the greater good of the vision and the outcome, and everyone knowing they're leaving their initiative at the door because we all have a common goal. So constant realignment, and I'm not talking about robotic, we read this mission and vision at every board meeting and now we're so tired of it. Yeah. Truly passionate, like this fires me up. We are here because this fires me up, and my unique skill set can help drive change and progress. So constantly identifying, and sometimes the very thing that frustrates you about another person is the very thing you need to have implemented in the strategy for success. So celebrating the uniqueness and the beauty of everyone.
That's awesome. And to back that up, take ownership. Don't just, like you said, don't just read it. Take ownership. Be there. Be the force, right, that drives it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's jump into diversity a little bit. I talk a lot about it in my book. I've written articles over and over about it, and I truly believe that diversity brings innovation, creativity, and actually better decision making. In your experience, how does diversity within a board change that conversation and the outcomes?
Oh my goodness. I mean, if everyone came from the same path of life, everyone went to the same school, everyone
Yep.
had the same rhythm, same routine, brushed their teeth at the same time every day, you're pretty much just cloning the same, group think.
Yep.
And that is what diversity can help change. It offers critical thinking. It offers outside, out of the box strategy that, because someone's experience, my experience going to the grocery store is completely different than your experience going to the grocery store. And if we're serving a customer that needs to serve a grocery store, you and I shouldn't be living in the same neighborhood and having the same commute to the same grocery store. Like the fact that we even live in different states and have a different way about the way we get to the grocery store is a diverse approach to a problem. So right there, that opens up a world of opportunity and solutioning.
Yeah. My grocery store has slot machines. I don't think you have that, do you?
Oh, mine definitely doesn't have slot machines, and mine doesn't have hard liquor.
Oh, yeah.
So you can get wine, but so there you go already.
Yeah, so different.
Different.
Yep, absolutely. Is there any specific success story where diversity in a boardroom led to a breakthrough result personally that you can share?
Yeah, so because of my unique background and the music industry and coming into the type of product we were serving, um, if my board wasn't open to me participating with my unique experiences, I don't think we would have solved for a very interesting problem. So because my past, I witnessed, the physical CD sales going away and streaming becoming the only really form of digesting music. So I witnessed the music industry shifting. I witnessed the agreements changing terms, creating new terms to fit the new landscape, morphing the definition of terms just to solution for, the changing landscape.
Yeah.
And with book publishing, as we walked into getting these digital licensing rights from publishers, they're very set in their traditional terms, rightfully so. And it was very specific. They had terms allocated to publisher, terms allocated possibly to creatives, terms allocated to agents. And we were here asking for specific rights that they couldn't give us because they've already allocated these terms. So we had to, because of my music career, because of understanding the way the music industry shifted their terms and licensing agreements, we were able to lean in on my experience and discover and carve out a new right that publishers and rights holders could get behind and actually give us the rights to, because we were able to be innovative with how we approached it. And because of my diverse background and my experiences, that's how we were able to formulate a new right and get over 400 plus licensing agreements.
That's awesome. So diversity and inclusion always get bunched in together like they're one. And I mean, I truly believe they're complementary, but there is a distinct concept and essential for creating dynamics and robust cultures. But diversity obviously refers to the presence of differences within a given setting, encompassing various dimensions such as race, gender, age, religion, disability, sexual orientation, and among others. It's about bringing together a rich tapestry of people with different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Inclusion, on the other hand, is the practice of ensuring that these diverse voices are heard, valued, and given the opportunity to contribute and thrive. So there is a obviously difference, but they work together in a very, very powerful way. What strategies can boards use to ensure they're not just diverse, but also inclusive? That is a mouthful, I know, again.
I think some... you are really challenging. I'm just kidding. I think first of all, for some reason, diversity, I think scares some organizations. The term and inclusion, it's become almost I think a fearful new terrain, because this is not normal. We are changing. The environment of how businesses function is different than it was 20 years ago. So the unknown is always scary. So things like this and this podcast are amazing because people can understand, oh, I don't have to be afraid of this. I can understand how this will benefit the company I serve, but also bring in dynamic voices that don't always have the opportunity to be heard.
Yes.
So hands down, that's important. But, once you do select the right candidate, the right diverse fit for the company you serve, including their voice, it's not just about, what do you think? It's not just about getting them to speak more. It's if you brought them in because of their skill set and their unique perspective that they'll bring to that company, you'll be able to get more strategic and actually dive in with them on, okay, here's our pain point. Here is what we're trying to do. This is the market we're trying to expand in. And we really feel your skill set can offer us a whole new lens that we've never really explored before. What is that? Like, you can't even ask questions that you don't know. So allowing them room to, why are they there? Yeah. Why do they feel passionate about the vision and mission that you're already aligned with? You're already going to be aligned on why you're there. So let them speak. Let that first board meeting, it's not just, hi, meet so-and-so. They come from this background and this is why they're here. No, like, let them speak to why the mission and vision is unique and how, they would like to solve some of the pain points and problems that they see or that have been brought to them. I just, don't be afraid to just, go deep. You have to go deep and you have to let them speak deeply.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the reason they were brought on. Let them speak freely too, not and take what they say as a positive, because they might be coming from diversity, like I said, comes from different angles. I mean, I grew up in a communist country, and I know I don't look like a diverse person per se, but I bring a lot of different culture diversity into a lot of different environments, and I've done it for many years as a consultant and changed the impact of a company. So if you're heard, and if that's put into an actual, into that company, it's great. It can be great. But it brings up the next question on how do we measure the impact of inclusion on a board effectiveness?
That's challenging.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be an initial, energy is palatable. There's going to be an obvious shift in your energy if you start hitting momentum when diversity and inclusion of all voices starts to be implemented in your board. So you should, within a few meetings, within a few weeks, depending on how often you meet, start sensing like momentum. You probably were stalled, you probably were paused, you probably were status quo. And when you interject diversity and inclusion, you should start feeling a momentum and an energy, and people should be getting excited and passionate because you're unlocking things that you've never unlocked before. A way to now, put it on paper. Before you integrate, diversity and inclusion, before you really make that conscious decision to do that, make note of where things are at, not only with the board and the board style of how they make decisions and communicate, even down to who talks the most, whatever it might be, down to even the company's initiatives and the different issues you're trying to solve for. Make notes, concrete note of that. So once you feel that energy build with your diversity and inclusion, check back 3 months, 6 months, a year to see hard evidence of how that person coming in, those people coming in, have helped you not only change the dynamics of the boardroom, but also help solve for maybe some of the company's needs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think definitely checking back and seeing where you're at, and like you talked about earlier, doing surveys and self-awareness would probably help out a lot too.
Yeah.
Obviously we have.
And I can hear.
No, go ahead.
I was going to laugh real quick and say, I can hear some moans and groans around, polls. I don't have time for that. Or, training around bias. Seriously, we got to get some business done. I hear the moans and I totally relate and I understand, but it's injecting that value now will be worth it. Trust me. It'll be worth it to the bottom line.
Exactly. And overcoming challenges to diversity and inclusion. What do you think are some of the most significant barriers to diversity and inclusion in boardroom today?
I kind of touched on this. I think sometimes it can stem from just lack of awareness of why a company might want to think about, having a diverse board, or how that can, like I said, sometimes it's all about those ROI and KPIs and all that stuff. So if you can give a tangible use case of how to look at diversity and inclusion on your board and how that can help the company's success, oh, okay, light bulb, moment. I think another challenge is unconscious bias. I think it's not always malicious that people are biased. Sometimes there's just an ingrained way about them, and they didn't realize, because no one shed light on it, that the way they're thinking is actually limiting and hindering. So that self-awareness, just because it's done this way doesn't mean it should be done this way. So self-reflection, I think that can be a hindrance. And then sometimes just the companies themselves or corporations themselves, maybe even being apprehensive of what does that mean, having, diversity. So really it's education.
Resistance to change.
What you're doing now and talking about it.
Yeah, resistance to change is a big one.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. And, it might not be broke now for you and your company and your board yet, but you got to have that long-term vision. You can't just be quarterly focused. You got to look 5 years from now. And if you don't participate or have your board participate in diverse, board members, what does that look like in 5 years? Like that roadmap, and is that going to hinder, your profitability.
Absolutely. I think another one is too that we have found is recruitment practices. Traditional recruitment methods and networks are limiting their access to the diverse pool. So, I mean, again, another reason boardsi was born was to have that
I get
access.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and I get it. I totally understand. You know, when a job opportunity happens, or you go to people you trust, you go
yeah,
to people you know, you go to people who have that track record or that common resume for a board member. So I get that. But if you can be aware that there's other opportunities to discover new board members and diverse board members, then pursue it. Don't limit yourself.
absolutely. And I think boards also should remain open to learning about new strategies and approaches to diversity and inclusion, adapting their practices as societal expectations evolve. Because I mean, we've been evolving for a very long time, and now faster than ever.
Absolutely.
I mean, AI is a
It's
game changer.
ridiculous. Like, I was just game
Yeah,
changer. And, you know, you can't resist the change because it's inevitable. So, how can you learn from it, grow with it, but not be controlled by it? So, it's a very interesting balancing act.
awesome. Before I change gears and get into something fun to wrap this up, is there anything else you want to add?
I got fun. This is fun.
No, this is going to be really fun. These are fun personal questions.
Okay, good. I like it. Okay.
So, anything else about boardrooms you want to add to this?
First of all, thank you again for having a platform for someone like me with such a unique and not common background who's on boards and executive to speak to. Sometimes we need to see those that are like us to know the opportunities are out there. And I just, encourage anyone who's come across this who is new in their careers to keep pushing forward and just build your knowledge. And you have value and you'll bring value. Encourage those board members who are curious about how to improve their board. First of all, if you're here, you want to improve your board, and bravo to you. It might feel intimidating. But the first step is just observe. In fact, you're even here, you're carrying to change. So now just take this back and observe your board. And then it can be very simple first steps of just starting the conversation. So
Awesome. Thank you. And are you ready for these tough questions?
okay.
All right.
I think so.
If you could have any musician or band, past or present, play live at your next birthday party that I'm hoping to be invited to, who would it be and why?
You are. I absolutely have this answer. Garth Brooks.
Wow.
I'm a country girl, and I've always been a Garth Brooks fan, mainly because he's an incredible performer and he leaves his heart out on that stage every time. And he's just phenomenal. So I thoroughly enjoy his performance ability, and yeah. His songs are pretty good too.
All right.
Easy.
So we got to get Garth on your next birthday party. All right, got it.
That's right. Hey, Garth. I hope you're watching.
All right. Now imagine you're given an unlimited budget to produce a movie about any event in history or fiction. What story would you choose to bring to the screen and who would star in it?
Oh my gosh, this is really good, but you can't ask me that. Who? Wow. Oh my gosh, this is a hard one.
I'm available to star in it if it's a good story. Just kidding.
Are you okay? Good. Okay, I was hoping to do that. Okay, anyone in history who has? Okay, I got this. Give me a second. Okay, I love a podcast called The History Chicks. I I have a hard time just entertaining myself without learning something. So it's a way I can be entertained, but then learn something. The unsinkable Molly Brown, she sounds like such a firecracker, and she had such, from what I know, a diverse background. She came from a background and then ended in a society and in a ranking that you're like, how did that even happen? So her journey, I think, would be really interesting to unpack. And she obviously, from what I've heard, has had so much heart and spunk and grit, and I would love to learn from that. So I think the unsinkable Molly Brown would be somebody I'd like to know more about. And who would star in it? Well, the only person that I think could deliver a role like that is Kate Winslet. And it's funny that she was in Titanic and Unsinkable Molly Brown was in Titanic, but Kate is such an amazing actress. Or Emma Stone, actually. That would be another one. Emma Stone.
So you got options. All right. Now we got to work on the budget.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know their availability yet. So.
All right. If you could instantly gain mastery in a new skill, just one, or a hobby that you've never tried before, what would it be and why?
I can only pick one.
Just one.
Piano. I've always wanted to learn. I've taken a few lessons, but if I could just sit at a piano and just play, it doesn't even have to be for anybody. It would be my own therapy.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. I have zero music skills, like none. I don't even think AI could help me sing.
We'll work on that. I know. It's going to try, but yeah.
At least you had that going. I don't even have that. All right, last one. Not sure if you like karaoke or not, but if you were with a group of close friends, what is your go-to karaoke song?
I actually have an actual story of this moment. No, I do not like karaoke. For some reason, as a multi-platinum recording artist, people have high expectations of you, and karaoke is not that easy. It's kind of like that Dance Dance Revolution arcade machine, where you had to like jump on the square and then jump, and like hit the marks. As a dancer, not interesting. But yes, my go-to, I was actually with my husband and a bunch of work colleagues, and we were at a karaoke bar, and they're like, "Can you sing?" I'm like, "No, please, no." Sure enough, they put my name on the list. So my go-to, Proud Mary.
Wow. Love to hear that. That's not an easy song.
So when Garth comes, we'll have him play Proud Mary, and then you'll get to see me sing it. That's my karaoke with Garth. And then maybe we'll get him to teach us guitar, at least.
There you
if
go.
Not piano. So Garth has a long list.
I love the goals. Let's now we got to get to work on it.
I'm ambitious.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to try to figure out how to get hold of Garth now. Awesome, Shannon.
All right,
Shannon, I can't thank you enough. This was awesome, incredible. Great opportunity to have you on the show. Great opportunity to meet with you. And I do look forward to meeting you in person. So I know that's going to happen. Hopefully you and your husband, and we can hang out, have a glass of wine, and just relax and have a good laugh.
That sounds amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on Boardroom Chronicles. And until next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Boardroom Chronicles. Remember to subscribe for more insightful episodes.